He Is Coming is a game that has been on my Steam wish list since before it was in early access. The trailer set it up to have this, very cool retro SNES style vibe that I particularly am hooked by. Almost every time a game uses that art style, I lean in a little bit, and then when it's revealed to just be another turn-based JRPG, I go, okay, well, I've seen this before, and I still haven't beaten Earthbound, so I'll just do that instead. Why'd you get down? My cat left. Sorry. But this game did not explain in the trailer what the gameplay loop is, and that hooked me. In addition, it set up a very kind of eerie vibe with the title, which we'll get back to in a minute, leaning into the, who is he? What is happening? Well, he's coming. And I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this game, and I believe it is solely based on the title. I think that's the one thing that holds it back realistically is, it's got a little bit of a double entendre that people might, think is silly. This game's called He Is Coming. Next week, we're going to play She Is Not. But I actually do think once you start playing it, the title works in its favor because they don't tell you what the gameplay loop is, like I said. They just drop you in blind basically immediately after the cutscene, and you have to figure out everything that's going on. It doesn't take long to figure out exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and the world kind of opens itself up to you. But in doing so, you are running out of time, and he is coming. And when you first realize that, I think it does send a little bit of a chill down your spine, and you look up to the top of your menu and you go, okay, well, who the is he? And what's going to happen when he gets here? He's coming. Here we go. And that is where the title shines. The gameplay loop, without giving away any spoilers, because I do believe that the best way to play it is to just jump in blind. But because the title's not exactly doing any favors in getting people to play it, I'll give you a little bit of a summary of what you do. You walk around a map. There are icons on the map, and you go to them. And when you go to them, different things happen. And while you walk around, you progress through a day-night cycle. And after the third night, he comes. And you got to deal with him. Another thing to mention is it is an auto battler, and I don't know exactly if the trailer gives that away, and that might steer some people away. However, I would still recommend that you try it out because, in my opinion, turn-based combat is just so overdone that seeing this new take on that battling system, just saying, okay, it's repetitive when you press a button, so we're just going to press the one button for you. It actually kind of kept me hooked for at least my playtime. There are a few speed settings, which I did find myself going toward the middle of all of them as it speeds through the combat, but not too fast so you don't understand what's happening, but not so slowly that you feel like you're, just grinding up one of your Pokemon waiting for the next gym battle that you're underleveled for. And I did ask that question earlier of who is he? There are multiple different versions of him, but unfortunately for you, all of them come, and you got to deal with that. I will say, I believe the game is still in early access, and in my time playing it on stream, I did notice in roguelike fashion, the more you play, the more the game opens up to you and the more items there are. I very quickly found myself leaning into one play style that you can kind of maximize. And when you do maximize a play style, I found it to be pretty easy. Maybe challenge isn't exactly the front focus of the game, but I would like a little bit more challenge, maybe some more optimization, maybe not, an immediate path to victory right away. That's something that, like, The Binding of Isaac had me hooked when I first started playing it. I don't think I beat the first boss for, a couple hours. I don't think I beat the game, so to say, the first time for many, many play sessions. And then when you finally do beat her and you realize that the game has only just begun, that's what kind of keeps you hooked. Not to say that that isn't coming or there isn't something a little more beneath the hood that I haven't recognized. I'm sure there are a bunch of crazy items and crazy synergies that I just have yet to discover. However, like I said, one of the more base level synergies got me through the first level in no time. Overall, I did really enjoy it. I hope that there is eventually a little more difficulty to it. The game does kind of represent itself as like a Link to the Past style Souls-like. And in that genre, I do think there is a little bit of room for time-based decisions or literally any interactivity at all. Like I said, because it's an auto battler, it battles for you. And at least in my playtime, there was no way to interrupt that cycle. Let's see what happens. The only downside about this game, I'd say, is that thus far there haven't been any activated abilities, which I guess doesn't super matter, but it does take you out of it a little bit. I was kind of looking for an item that would say, okay, pause combat, do this whenever, deal a huge blow, or, anything like that. And there are some items that when you hit a specific trigger point, if your armor breaks all the way or whatever, it'll detonate this bomb, and the bomb will do a lot of damage. 1 damage to the enemy. Increase the damage of your next bomb. So this just helps my next bomb do more damage. Sure. This seems like a fine build, I guess. That was kind of interesting, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I was more so looking for, okay, if I break his armor all the way, can I now set off an explosion that tanks his health or anything like that? And I didn't see it. Not to say that it isn't in the game, but I would imagine that it is not based on the playstyle of the game. That being said, all of the items that I discovered were interesting. They all lend themselves to specific playstyles. Like a fast guy, as tank, or, somewhat in between. Whoa, gain 3 strikes at the beginning of the battle? If I have more speed? That's kind of badass, but I'm playing a very tanky build right now, and I don't think I can give that up. Featherweight, if you have more speed than the enemy, spend 1 speed to temporarily gain 3 attack. Dude, I could seriously go all in on speed right now, though. If you have more speed than the enemy, gain 2 attack. Okay, we're gonna do it. I guess I can come back if I grab 2 more. This is seriously what makes my build right here. Yes, okay, back to the merchant. Yes, okay, I gotta get my speed up. Like, really badly. And all of them are interesting and seem fairly deep when you go through your first run and the menu screen opens up and shows you just how many items there are, and that scratches the part of my brain that leans into the curiosity of, okay, well, what are all of these, and I'd like to see how deep this game can go. What? Did my bomb not do anything? Alright. We gotta do a new run. I'm fucking locked in now, dude. That is enough for me, especially for $10. I'd recommend that you pick it up and try it out if you're even remotely intrigued, because this definitely has the potential for me to be a new plain staple. I did say that the game wasn't challenging. I died a couple of times, and both times felt devastating, but I do think that that was just because I didn't exactly know what was happening, or I maybe misread what the combat was going to be. But once I figured that out, I did, kind of breeze through at least the first level. So I'm going to give it another try, but I do recommend that you guys all do the same. The biggest things that I said hold the game back, like I will re-mention, are the lack of any sort of in-combat triggers and the name. But once you get past the name part, the only thing that holds you back is that lack of interactivity with the triggers. And if you can kind of treat it as a different game, like an auto battler version of a Souls-like, I think that you'll have a really good time. And I didn't even mention some of the coolest parts about the game, which are the art and the music, still sticking to that 16-bit, art style. The music is in that same genre. It's really good. It, keeps you kind of leaning in and on the edge of your seat. And in kind of Pokemon style fashion, every time you enter a battle, there's this super cool, almost Persona 5-y, like, cross cut that happens through the screen. Dude, the f***ing animations in this game are incredible. And every time it happened for me, I was just like, that's sick. It's just such a cool little detail. And that is what I would say that this game does very, very well, is lean into those details and kind of milk the art style for all that it can possibly do without kind of breaking immersion at all. I would maybe wait for it to go on sale, But that's just a me thing. If you can spare the $20 to throw towards an indie game, help the developers out because they've seriously made something here. Anyway, that's everything. Thanks for checking this out. Like, comment, do all the things. I appreciate you. Bye bye.